Hey everyone, welcome very much once again to another Trotec Laser Live on Friday with myself and Gabe. Very happy to have you all here with us. If you're in the chat, I hope you'll toss a quick hello. And then obviously, as always, any questions you have for us as we're going along. If it seems like we're going to move a little quickly today, it's because we want to jump right in here. I think this is a really, really cool application. But first and foremost, I want to introduce my co-host, Gabe. How are you, sir?
Don, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here again. Pleasure to be back here with you. Back in my role as co-pilot. I had to captain the ship the other day or last month, and it was a lot of fun. But it's still a little nerve-wracking. So definitely, you have a tough job. You do a great job. So we're happy to have you back. But I'm excited to do this today as well.
I appreciate it, man. I think you have the tough job. Actually, running the laser is always the trickier thing. I just get to stand here and read questions, man. I've got it easy. Hopefully, the people in the chat have the best job. Hello to everyone, whether you're watching us now or in the future on YouTube. If you are watching us in the future on YouTube as well, I hope you'll feel free to leave us a like or a comment. Any questions we get on YouTube, we always do our best to come back and answer them as best we can. We're not perfect, but we definitely do our best. And it's one of the best ways to get a hold of us, for sure. Yeah. Gabe, do you want to talk a little bit about what the plan is for today? I know people will have seen some stuff maybe online, but for anybody who's joining us sight unseen.
Yeah, of course. This webinar is definitely one I'm more excited about. I feel like I've, being a man in my 20s at this point, I've kind of formed my entire personality off of watching sports or playing recreational sports and stuff like that. So figuring out ways to customize the gear I have and then other things. Really, I'd say the most difficult part of this webinar was just finding out which things I wanted to limit myself to in this webinar, because there's so many different things you could do. Just picking 3 or 4 out, definitely one of the hardest ones. But I tried to diversify a little bit. Some of the applications we're going to run, I'm going to go smallest to largest. My favorite summer sport, the one I definitely spend the most money on, is golf. So we wanted to start off with golf tees, because I think they're really easy, they're simple, and golf tees by themselves are cheap. So you could realistically do just a bunch of these and kind of all at once and make more money because you're able to engrave them. So that's kind of where I landed there. And then we have a few things to build on, but yeah, no, I'm really excited about this. But yeah, Don, going back to Don's original question, this is a sports webinar. We're going to go over, all the different products you can do related to sports and all that. However, that doesn't mean you should limit yourself to that. Or if you are running a shop that doesn't currently do sports products, that definitely, we're trying to encourage you to add that to your repertoire, because I think it's just something that can very profitable, very popular.
100%.
And we're very excited to show you.
I think one thing too I want to make a point of, so not only is Gabe right that there's a whole variety of things to do. I mean, some of the ones that immediately jump to your mind, and I'm sure you guys will see some of them. I don't want to spoil all the surprises that are coming up. Gabe's also made some really great, fantastic custom artwork just for you guys today in the webinar that I'm pretty excited about. But the other thing is we have videos and stuff showing a variety of products, even some of the ones we won't be able to do today. So if there's a particular type of item, you can toss it in the chat, and hopefully we'll be able to show you something along those lines. But Gabe's exactly right. The bigger aspect of this is, regardless of what size of Trotec Laser you have, I think there is at least a handful of different applications that you can look at. And we're going to show you some videos today also that I think sort of underscore that point. Originally, both Gabe and I think it's fair to say, sort of thought that, this was an application that would be almost exclusively the domain of some of the bigger lasers. But as we found out, right, Gabe, like even the Speedy 50, our smallest model, can very effectively do a football, or I think we have videos of it doing a basketball as well.
Yeah, I'm excited to show you guys that. We almost had Laser Dave hop in on this one, because he sent these great videos over of doing a football and a basketball. We are going to do a basketball today still, so just wait for that. We're not going to be doing a football, but we have videos, and Dave was able to do those on a Speedy 50 30-watt machine. So even though today I'll be working on a 80-watt 400, you are not limited by the fact that you don't have a 400 if that's the case. This is just kind of the bigger one. So yeah, we're very, very excited to show you that.
Yeah, man. I'd say, I mean, it's been a few minutes. We've given people a second to get in. Hello to everybody who's saying hi in the chat. Very happy to have us have a variety of people joining us from Belgium and Saskatchewan, from Virginia. Very happy to have you all here. Again, any questions at all, you toss them in the chat. We'll do our best to grab them, even if they're not sporting goods related. Of course, we're always happy to talk about anything Trotec if we can. The first thing that you've got there in the laser, Gabe, if I'm not mistaken, is that a...
It's a golf tee. It's a golf. So this will also be a side webinar on how you can make a fixture out of basically anything. My fixtures today are hilarious because they're very temporary. If you were to do these in mass production, you could have something built for you to where you could just run these things and have tons of them going at a time. But since I'm only doing one and for one day, my first fixture is a little piece of Play-Doh. So if you can't see that in the camera, there's actually a T inside of the Play-Doh, which is perfect because as soon as I'm done, I can take the T out, and there's the whole outline from where the T was. So I can put another one right in that same spot and just press play again, and I'm good to go. Now, is that practical from a mass production standpoint? Probably not. Probably not, but I'm not going to tell you not to do it. That's very easy today. And then I have this little camera thing to hold a basketball and a piece of Lego for a pickleball paddle. So I can't wait to show you guys that. But we can start off with the tees. I'll go ahead and engrave one. It's a very quick process. So I'll share my Ruby screen for you. Clearly, I know the theme is sports. If you guys can see the screen, I don't know if Don can see it. I'm a huge Bengals fan, which means I've subjected myself to a life of sports poverty. But today,
great jerseys, really
great colors, jerseys. Fun team. They just don't win a whole lot. And anyway, we won't get into that. But I just went with a simple text setting for this one because tees are so small. You're probably not going to want to do, a whole lot of different graphics on them. So getting nice text on them. Maybe you could do the top too. But for now, we're going to start simple and just do text. This one was also pretty easy because I'm just using the straight wood maple setting that comes from Ruby. Again, this is a speedy 400 flex actually, but we're on CO2, 80 watt laser. So we're going at 65 power and 50 speed. Kind of weird numbers it gives you. So if you want to play with that around, I'm sure you could get great results moving that around a little bit. It is wood after all. But that's just what it is right now, and it works great. So I'll run this ready for you. It's 6 seconds long, so it should be pretty quick.
Yeah, go for it. I got it all brought up on the screen.
Wonderful. And stop sharing, and not too much more to do on Ruby, and then I'll get this out and show you guys. Again, this is definitely one where you can really play with the settings a lot, I think. Wood's a very good application for running jobs, as I've figured out this week and previously. Let's see how this looks on here. If not, I can, oops. I'll maybe back it up a little.
Oh, that's good. That's good right there, yeah.
Put it in focus. Yeah, the webcam tries to focus a little differently. Let me know. Or I can
maybe on your
push it up to here a little better, maybe.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. That webcam has a lot of different auto-focusing features. So, yeah, I mean,
it's nice, man.
Yeah, it really comes through great. I'll do a couple of them because they're 6 seconds. I have an orange one and a green one here. Please. And I wish I could zoom in for you to show you the nice outline the fixture of my Play-Doh makes. But it fits right in there like a glove. And I can cue the job again, and it's just good to go.
I will say, it's something we've brought up previously, and it's something Gabe makes a very good point about. You guys should not be worried about building jigs out of whatever is going to serve you best in that instant. If it works, it works. That's the most important thing. And these machines are robust, right? They're built to last a lifetime. A bit of Play-Doh or a bit of Lego is not going to break them.
No, absolutely. I think I use Play-Doh more now than I did when I was a child. Because I think it might actually be better used in a working environment than in a child's hands. And that's I'm going to die on that hill one day, I think.
I mean, realistically, at some point, we're going to try and engrave it, and then this whole thing is going to culminate together in a perfect,
Yep, exactly right. Here's the second one. Again, this was a green tee, so the colors, I grabbed a variety pack. There's like 3 or 4 colors in here. It hasn't really mattered because the underlying of the wood is pretty consistent each way. So you're going to get a good result every time.
I think the other nice thing about this too is, again, circling kind of back around to our point about, hey, Johnny, thanks for joining. Our point about, beautiful, man. Our point about being able to do this with any size laser. You could very easily have a Speedy 50 in a pro shop and do this for customers as they come in, particularly if somebody's coming or booking, you know, around for a special occasion or something like that. This is an easy one to knock out.
Yeah, it's super easy. I mean, honestly, the trickiest part was just making sure I had my text the right size, you know, because it's a small application, but actually it would be probably easier to do on a smaller machine just in general, because you just have so much less bed space that you have to worry about shrinking it down to. So, I mean, yeah, definitely. Like you said, a pro shop will be good. Ball markers is another good one. I know we have a customer out there who makes custom ball markers with our machines. That was one I should have gotten around to and maybe mistakenly didn't, because I think that's a great one. I have some awesome looking ball markers that some of, and you know, that's a really fun one too, because some of them are plastic or like kind of acrylic, and that's great. And then you got the metal ones too, which this machine actually can do metal as well, which is a lot of fun. I'm going to set up this our second application, which is a pickleball paddle.
Nice.
Very, you know, I am not a huge pickleball guy. I haven't really tried it. I've always been a tennis and ping pong guy, but I guess it's somewhere right in the middle. So maybe I should give it a shot. I don't know. People seem to like it.
I mean, it's enjoying a real boom at the moment for sure. I should say too, Sergio, that is a great question. I saw your question in chat. I've actually got somebody in the background working to get you an answer. We should have an answer for you posted in chat here pretty shortly. I don't want to derail Gabe too much when he's the engine here running the whole shit today.
No, please. I have to set up stuff anyway real quick. It doesn't take that long, but I still have to do it. So there's always time to fill the air.
I also noticed that Laser Dave, that you must have heard us talking about you, because he's jumped in the chat too. We appreciate you jumping in, Dave and Johnny, and all of the repeat viewers as well. I'd like to, just while Gabe is getting set up, one of these videos we talked about earlier that I really wanted to share with you guys. I'm going to pull it up here on my side. As we talked about before and sort of alluded to, this was done with a Speedy 50, which I still think is an incredible achievement. I'm going to share my screen here. You might have seen it if you saw Gabe's awesome promo video that he shared. But let me see here if I can pull this up.
Yeah, Dave, thanks again. He and I were emailing back and forth, of course, yesterday, trying to get settings right for certain basketballs. I'm excited to talk about that one, because that's totally different than just doing some standard wood.
Here we go. So now, as a caveat to all of these, and I want to put this out there right away, and I'll probably repeat myself as we go forward, but as a caveat to all of these applications that are done using leather balls, whether it be a basketball, baseball, football, the best possible result is going to come from the best possible quality ball. I mean, it's the same as any application. If you put in a warped piece of plywood versus a perfectly new, perfectly flat piece of plywood, obviously that second option is going to give you a better result. You can do either or, and certainly I think either one, when it comes down to the personalization for someone, is going to be great and be appreciated. But when you're looking to get this beautiful, dark black mark like Dave has in this video here, definitely trying to go for the highest quality ball possible is always going to be a good option for sure.
Yeah, Don, you said that just about as well as anyone could, really. It's all about the quality of your ingredients, right?
Right, exactly.
And yeah, maybe a month ago back, I want to maybe vindicate myself a little bit. I got kind of cooked on our TikTok channel, because I bought a $40 bat. I saw one of my coworkers do a basketball, and it looked awesome, and I went out and got one, and it was like a $40 basketball, which spending $40 on basketball, I feel like, oh, it's not bad. It's not the best ball, but it should be fine.
Still a $40 basketball, yeah.
It took us forever, and there's no actual leather on the basketball. It's almost entirely, plastic and other kind of mixed materials. So we're trying to engrave it, and you got to even get some kind of mark, you got to get all the way through, because there's nothing underneath it that's actually going to help your cause. There's no level of small burning you can do. So we got all the way through it, and yeah, I think someone said it looked like someone was cooking a steak, which You're not exactly wrong. Today we have a little bit better one too. But yeah, the one that David did, this is, I mean, I saw this and I was like, I had to email him yesterday. I was like, how did you do that? Like, that's really unbelievable. It looks like it was painted on there.
He's a wizard, man. I genuinely, between him and then I know Mike Clark has also had some great results with basketballs. Yep. One thing Johnny points out in the chat, which is very, very true, if you have a longer lens, that will always be a boon to you as well. Having a longer lens for any curved object is always going to make things 10 times easier.
Yep.
Hey, can I ask you a question about this? So this paddle that you have in the machine right now,
yeah,
is it wood or is it plastics? I feel like I've seen paddles on both sides of that too.
Yeah, so this is a wood paddle. I haven't played pickleball enough to know what the most common one is. If people use wood, if people use plastic, I would love to get in and try one of the plastic ones. But today we'll be doing wood. It's of course a lot easier. And real quick, I want to circle back to what Johnny said. About the 2.5-inch lens. That is what we are using today. I should have brought that up earlier. We have a flex lens here in case we do want to do some metal. But otherwise, the rest of these are going to be on 2.5. Even this flatter one here, it's going to work pretty well. But just for the curvature of even the T, which was very small and probably would have been fine on a 2-inch lens, couldn't hurt to have that extra depth. As for the baseball bat and the basketball, that 2.5 lens, is going to make a big difference in the engraving.
All the difference. Yeah.
Personally, I'm excited though with this next thing. I keep saying paddleball. It's not it. I'm so unfamiliar with pickleball. I feel like I'd only seen it played in like retirement communities and stuff about 5 years ago, and now it's huge.
Dude, I was exactly the same. 100%. Absolutely. The first time I ever played it was with my folks who are both in their 70s. And then I've seen like 2 arenas built within walking distance of where I live now. Of like pickleball. It's amazing the growth. But it's great, right? I mean, it has like you said, all the cool things about tennis and some of the great things about other racket sports and stuff. So I don't want to bury the lead here, man. Do you want to show this awesome artwork that you put together for this paddle?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how awesome it really, but I appreciate it anyway. Y'all share Ruby again. I designed a couple of the files today. This one, we didn't want to take any logos from anyone, so I made a Trotec Pickle. We're like a pickleball company now. We have a pickle in the middle. I'm gonna make this kind of bigger. It's gonna go across, I think probably most of the paddle, if not the whole thing. However, I understand, if you're a pickleball player, you might be concerned like, oh, isn't that might compromise the integrity of the paddle, which you might not be wrong about. I think some of these, if you're going to get engraved goods, sporting goods like this, there are some applications that are better suited to keep maybe for show or on display, like the basketballs, honestly, and stuff like that.
Commemorative.
And then, yeah, exactly. That was the word I was looking for, commemorative. And then there are ones that, you probably could engrave, like a bowling ball, for example. I have a bowling ball that's custom engraved and it works fantastically, that you can custom build and still play with. As far as the pickleball paddle, I think there are multiple ways you could do this. The way I'm doing it, I'm going to do a big one so that everyone can see it better. I might try to play pickleball with it at some point. I don't know. We'll see how it works. But if you were really concerned about it, you could definitely do something smaller at the bottom, right where that handle is. I think you could easily just have some cool engravings there. And then, I mean, if you're hitting the ball with that part of the paddle anyway, it's probably not going to be a very good shot. So
I think it will depend too on your on how deep you engrave as well. Because I would have thought the same thing, right? It's like even with a baseball bat, a baseball bat works because of that surface tension all across the whole bat, right? So it's but you're exactly right. For commemorative items, particularly anything you're engraving is probably as a gift item for someone. But certainly you're right. You could engrave, same thing with a golf club, right? You could engrave the grip instead of necessarily the shaft of the club. And then at that point, you don't worry about risking any of the long-term life of the club.
It's right before I engrave this. Actually, I might just start it right now because it's a 5-minute job. So I'm going to engrave I'm going to go back to the golf club, but I want to just go over my settings. This says it's the regular wood maple setting. I did change it a little bit, so it's 85 speed and 65 power. I also adjusted the DPI to 600 because I wanted to make it a little darker, hopefully without getting too deep into it. Again, I'm sure there are settings you could keep going on and on with wood, especially. where you could get them even better and perfect them. But these ones came out good, so I didn't try to break it too badly. But yeah, this. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, when you've got artwork of this quality, you do it at 600 DPI. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. You make sure that it's at the highest quality.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
One thing I did want to ask you about. So you were saying you wanted to go back around to the golf club.
Yeah. So you talk about the integrity of the club itself. I mean, golf clubs are in fact engraved. I actually have one right here. This was not something we engraved ourselves. This is just how they come. But I mean, the 4-iron, it is like anyone who's played golf, they're usually kind of engraved in there. I don't know how they do it. I tried it myself the other day, and it worked great with a fiber laser. I engraved a little bit on the shaft, and I don't think it gets too deep in there to where it really hurts it. But I didn't try playing with it, so I have no idea if that's certain. But yeah, these clubs are, marked kind of deep into already as it is. So I don't know, what's the threshold? How much marking of the golf club do you actually have to do before it actually ruins the club? I think you could get away with doing some little designs or putting a signature or something on the shaft or even near the club head, not on the face. Don't do that. That would I think that would be where I would draw the line.
To your point, though, oftentimes the face is something like a sandwich, say, for example, does actually have already some engraving in it to try and, I mean, I make this motion like I know what I'm talking about. But
no, the grooves on there. And again, I would love to see how that process is done. It wouldn't surprise me if it's done with laser technology or something very similar. I honestly have no idea. We're looking right now just in kind of the custom aspect of it. But maybe the next step is, learning how some of these products are made from scratch and sold to the public from a factory. So very interesting indeed.
I do think one thing I wanted to point out, just because we can see it sort of here as this, and I'm going to pull the pickleball up. So you can see on top of the laser there, we were talking about how you could do a lot of these applications using a smaller one of our lasers, and that's absolutely true. But you can see on top of the 400 that Gabe is using here, it has a camera. And he was talking about how tricky it can be to position sometimes. I mean, like you're saying, this one's going to be across most of this paddle. When you're positioning on top of the tee, you have to take the time to kind of sort it out with the red dot, pointer. So although obviously, I mean, you've done a great job of that, like it's coming out beautifully. At the same time,
I think I got lucky, but thank you.
Well, the camera would be a shortcut there if you had, say, a 360 or a 400. That would be an option that's available to you.
Yeah, Don, that's and this 400 just came in very recently. So I don't know. I don't think we've calibrated the camera yet, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would love to use it. I remember when we first came out, I was a little more old school, and just liked using the grid and stuff. But then when you're absolutely right. When you get to kind of these trickier positionings of of certain materials that you're doing, you want to make sure it comes out right in the right spot. And the camera is a great way to do that. Just be able to visualize exactly what you're doing before you press play, and then to have it just be done in a few minutes. A huge added bonus, but that's still not a knock on the small machines. They can still do all this stuff.
100%. The precision that a Trotec laser gives you, like that guaranteed repeatable precision, is the same across the whole line. You never need to feel like the bigger machines are better than the smaller machines. They're just bigger machines. They're all very, very good. You are getting a top of the line production machine regardless of which one you choose. Quick question for you, Gabe, from the chat here. I'm going to throw it to you.
Sure.
What do you prefer, fiber or CO2 lasers?
I have way more experience on the CO2 lasers. I will say I think I like watching the speed markers work more. Watching a speed marker, maybe I'm sure we'll have to do a webinar at some point where we display the speed markers a little more. We already did with the the tumbler one, but just even more so where we focus entirely on it, because I just think watching those things mark at the speed that they do is really incredible.
It's awesome.
I like the Ruby software more because I think it's a little bit newer. It's more catered to my generation. So just having that kind of ease of Ruby compared to SpeedMark, I'd say maybe I'll lean more towards the CO2. However, this one right here, being a CO2 and fiber, marking a golf club yesterday, being able to switch back and forth was really awesome. So I'd say CO2 because I use the product of the CO2 more in my life than I would with a fiber laser. But I like watching our speed markers go to work more.
Agree. And if it means you could expense a couple of golf clubs to do some testing, maybe it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
Well, hang on. These are my dad's old clubs. I didn't want to try it on anything that I thought would ruin a club or anything. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to use that. That's fine. But now that I've seen the results, I may bring a few of my clubs in for testing, and put some things on it. So you're absolutely right. Very cool.
I would say, so I totally agree with you. My experience is more on the CO2 side, just by virtue of it's what we get to demo a lot more. But certainly I agree. I love watching, even showing at trade shows and events when we get a chance to either show the speed marker working or show, we have great videos of it. If you ever check out the YouTube channel, we have some fantastic speed mark applications. But I'm going to cheat and say my favorite is probably the CL speed marker, the CO2. Yeah, there he is.
The only issue with this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Don. Go ahead. I was getting ahead of myself.
I was
going to say the only issue with how this one turned out is the file I got for the Pickle did not fully import correctly, so it doesn't come out quite as clear as you'd want it to. Obviously, on camera, it's harder to see. I know, and it's because you go online and you try to find the perfect image.
Pickle.
So yeah, that's a kind of a good lesson about image quality. You know, we already talked about material quality, right? But having the correct file also good too. I was able to make the rest of this in Canva, and I thought it turned out pretty good otherwise. Just a very quick, a very good text file. But yeah, as you can see, the Pickle's kind of hard to see, so it just didn't come out quite the way I wanted to. Whereas you can see in the design here, I'll show it again. It seems like it's just about perfect. So
it could be potentially thickness of the line art too, like the very thin lines will come out a little fainter than the darker lines, obviously, but
no doubt.
I really like this comment from Joe too, and it kind of speaks to some of what you're doing here. Likes to calculate job time in functionality in Ruby, which is really nice to be able to kind of get a preview based on your settings of how long any particular job is going to take. But the bigger thing here is in the second half of his comment about how stored jobs are keeping the same settings. So I'm not sure if people caught that, but when you jump to your pickleball file, even though you were using what is essentially the same base setting, it updated the settings to how you clarified them with the 600 DPI and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite features for sure. That it just kind of saves your jobs as you go down the line, because obviously, you know, I don't just walk into these webinars blindly hoping that they work. You know, I like to test a lot of, well, at least with the, I might, if I don't have to use the laser, then I can be a little blind, but if I gotta operate on some stuff, you know, it's a whole different animal. So yeah, being able to come in here and test some things out and being able to modify the settings, and then when I come in here again, they're ready to go the way I had them before. I was, you know, job control predates me as an employee here. So I can't always speak to the comparison between that and Ruby. I was just trained on Ruby. But for a machine that, you know, looks very kind of overwhelming to use and you'd think would be just pretty difficult based on what it does, realistically, I mean, Don, you've done it, I've done it, we've done installations before. Like you train people on these in a few hours, sometimes 2 or 1 hour, and they're usually ready to go. There's always a learning curve there. You just saw me. I didn't get a file right. That's part of what lasering is, right? You're going to try something. It might not work. You might not like the way it turned out, but there's always just room to keep modifying and moving forward. But just running the laser, it's very simple on Ruby.
100%. I would back that up and saying they're both great, of course, as Gabe said. We still love job control. I think one of the key features of Ruby that I really, really like, and it's something that Johnny has started to speak to here in the chat as well, not just the array feature and some of the other things, but Johnny makes a point in his earlier comment to Sergio that we are still adding features. So right now, if you were to get one of our lasers, or you already have one of our lasers and you start using Ruby, or you make that jump over, we are always adding new features. I mean, we have new versions of Ruby coming out every few months, and they're adding new things. And most importantly, they want to hear from you. What's the stuff that you want to see brought in? So there's a dedicated, send feedback button right there in the software. And if there's something you'd really like to see us add, I really hope you'll share it with us, because it's something, it's something that we want to hear from you. We want the laser software to serve your needs first and foremost. while Gabe is adding in this basketball, I wanted to show you guys another video of a particular application that we won't get to show you today, but I think comes out really beautifully. And once again, I want to take the opportunity to thank Laser Dave for doing a fantastic video for us. Where have I got it? Here it is, right here. If you guys can see this. So the title gives it away a little bit, but I'm going to make it full screen here. Can you laser hockey pucks? You can, in fact, not only laser hockey pucks, but you can laser them in such a way that they come out beautifully. This video is obviously a little bit sped up. Dave did this with a very similar machine to what Gabe's using right now. It's a Speedy 400. But hockey pucks, again, this is one where you don't have to worry about the integrity of the actual object. Obviously, it's just a giant block of rubber, right? But at the end of the day, in the same way that you do stamps and other rubber items, yeah, this is a no-brainer, this one. And I think we'll show you this result. I'm going to skip ahead here a little bit. Dave does do a nice clean job, and I think it's important to show that you do have to, you know, scrub the rubber off. It is one of those materials that can be a little dirty to do, but I think that result there is gorgeous, personally.
Yeah, that's awesome. That we were talking about that. I couldn't believe earlier before we started this. I was like, oh, I should have done hockey pucks, but like you said, it's you know, there's still the whole washing process and stuff with rubber is a completely different animal. So maybe not as basic to show on a webinar, but yeah, I mean, that couldn't look any better.
And I want to encourage you guys. I think at some point, if you get excited about what we showed today in the video, I mean, don't run out necessarily and throw a $200 basketball directly in. Gabe is going to show you some you know, tips and tricks here. But at the same time, just like any material, do a little bit of testing in an inconspicuous place before you try anything new. But do try. I really always want to encourage that there's nothing. You know, you're not going to break the laser. The laser is very dependable, very durable. You know, I really want to encourage you, if there's something we didn't show today but you think might be doable, give it a shot. We'd love to hear about it and let us know how it goes.
Yeah, always fun to see, you know, new little experiments and stuff like that. I'm always looking for ideas. So very good point. Wanted to give a quick shout out to my Lego fixture here. That was the one that held up the pickleball paddle. So that was a lot of fun. Very good stuff there. Yeah, we got the basketball up next.
Let's let it rip, man. So
cool.
Do you want to walk us through the file, the setup?
Sure. Yeah, let me, and this one, yeah, again, this is definitely one of the ones that takes a minute. We already talked about, you know, the kind of the quality of the basketballs. I think this one was especially different from the rest because I think every basketball that you could buy, if you go to Dick's and you're looking them all like lined up, all the brands are going to be different. All of the materials are going to be slightly different. Even if you don't always notice it while you're playing basketball, for those who have played, you might not really notice. There is a huge difference when it comes to engraving. And I learned that when I tried to do a TikTok with one. We have a different one now that's a little bit higher quality, but even then, this isn't, I don't think this is all full pure leather the same way we saw in the Laser Dave video. So this is, it's still a fun one. I really enjoy doing this. But it still took a minute to make sure we got everything right. So let me share this screen with you real quick. I can take you into Ruby again.
If you guys take anything away from this webinar, let it be, you have to stop bullying Gabe on TikTok. That's not nice.
No, please. Gabe. I can handle the criticism. I hope people bully. I think bullying can be very productive if they're a little bit nice about it. It inspired me to try to get better on these. So I'm glad that was the case. I'm hoping these turn out a little better. So this, our sales manager, Daryl Stevens, gave me this cool San Francisco logo. Actually, if we want to touch on that, we were actually at the NBA All-Star event with a customer doing basketballs. I don't know what the exact number was that our manager gave us, but it was well into the hundreds of custom basketballs that were engraved with a laser and given out to people at the event. So definitely a suitable application. You just got to make sure you get it right. This one, the settings on this one took. I got different results from everything. Laser Dave did this on a Speedy 50 with the table out at a very light power setting. And then, you know, I heard someone did it on a 360 with a higher power setting that I'm using. But for this specific ball, we're doing 50% power at 100 speed. And we upped the DPI to about 1,000 so that we can try to get a darker look, but hoping not to, you know, get too deep into the ball, if you know what I mean. So I'll just cue this up here. I hope I have this position in the right spot. That's the other tricky part. And like Don said, with a camera would be awesome because I can see exactly where it's going to go. So here we go. Let's try to let's see if this works perfectly.
100%. Let her go.
Yep.
I will throw a question to you too. So you've mentioned a couple of times, both with the pickleball paddle and then now with the basketball, the question of DPI and what that affects in terms of when you're doing a job. Do you want to kind of run through that really, really quick?
Yeah. So I can't speak too much to DPI scientifically, but I do know, I know there's a better way to explain it than I'm going to do it here. But when you lower that kind of frequency, you're going to get more of a darker look in there. So without affecting your power, changing your speed and settings, it's going to hit the material in a different way that might bring out more of the depth of the laser. I know it's probably not it's a very loose description of it, but
that's pretty much it,
really
though, I think.
I'm not a great science guy. Still learning on the spot. So
how it was explained to me was very much like DPI on a laserjet printer. So like if you're doing an image in 300 DPI versus 500 DPI, on a 300 DPI image, the printer is trying to put 300 points or like dots of ink per inch. And on a 500, it's trying to put 500 dots of ink per inch, which is what increases that resolution, right? So it takes longer. In this case, I think my understanding is, and again, I'm like Gabe, man, I'm not a science man at all, but my understanding is that a 500 DPI image, it's trying to fire the laser 500 times per inch. Whereas on 1,000, it's firing it 1,000 times per inch. So it's going to be a slower engraving overall. But because you're getting more pulses of the laser, you're potentially getting a higher quality or a darker engraving because there's just more physically heat being pumped into the item.
Yeah, that was much better than I could have given. So very well done. Very well done.
I'm right.
No, I think you are right. I think you are. And if we're wrong, at least you look good doing it. So that's important. One of the questions I'm looking at here, this question about golf balls.
Yes.
That was an interesting one. Of course, I did golf tees. And the main reason I did golf tees instead of why would I not do golf balls? In the experience I've had so far, as Johnny pointed out, it doesn't really come out well. I'm not sure I know there's a lot of good custom golf ball companies that put images and logos because you see them all the time. I think it's more of a printing application or something like that, because when I try to engrave on the Speedy here, it just kind of melts the material a little bit, even if you try to just touch it.
Well, golf balls, I would say, so I agree with you 100%. The issue with golf balls, I think, is twofold. Number one is that they're a dimpled surface, which is way tougher to engrave than a flat surface in general. Yep. And then secondly, when we were talking about compromising the overall quality of an item, a golf ball is like really specifically scientifically built to be perfectly like it's layers inside of layers inside of layers, right? Like a jawbreaker. So if you melt any of that outer core, you risk having your ball fly in a funny, way or.
Right. Well, and that brings us back to where we were saying, compromising the ball to the whatever you're doing. The problem with this one is, it's because of the layers. Since that golf ball is so designed for performance, the layers underneath it don't give you any color. So basically, you just mark into the golf ball. It melts some of the area around it, and you don't really even see much of the finish. Like you could put a name on there or a logo, and it doesn't really even show, and it just kind of ruins the golf ball. Again, this is just in my experience with the Speedy. I know Ron was talking about maybe we would try to hit it with the speed marker and see if that would do anything. I don't know for sure, but that was why we didn't do golf balls, because we couldn't find anything that would really work. So I think they have like some kind of printing stamp kind of thing that they might do for golf balls, but I'd be very interested to find out how they make logo balls and stuff like that.
And Johnny makes the point too that possibly something that's a little bit more specialist, like a UV laser, might work. But the CO2 laser might just be a bit too much kit for. I want to circle back around really quick before you pull that out, Gabe, to this question. Gabe Johnny did answer it, I think, there in the chat, but just to confirm with you, the lens size you're using.
Yes, he's right. It was a 2.5 inch for this one. You could definitely go up. We considered it going. You could move to a 4, and I bet you'd also get really good results. I'm looking at this. I think it actually turned out pretty well for 2.5 inch. I think the settings were really good. But yeah, if you wanted to move up to a 4-inch lens or something like that, have that kind of wider range, it would do, I'm sure, a great job on the edges. But for now, this was flat enough that I think we were able to get a good one. So let me see how this looks.
Please,
hoping
yeah.
it looks pretty good in here, but it's kind of turned out here. Yeah, I think it looks great. I might be backwards for you guys. I don't know. Maybe I can flip that. I'm not sure, but
no,
I'll show it on the
other camera.
On the other camera too. You can kind of have this. So yeah, this looks great.
Yourself, man. As far as I'm concerned.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. Well, the guy who's the logo guy, the guy who's jumping, it looks really good here. The other thing I like about this one, and shout out manager Daryl Stevens for giving me the Wilson Evolution basketballs instead of the NBA ones I was using that were a bit cheaper. Just a slightly higher quality and material. So you're just able to kind of just touch on this a little more and get right under the initial layer instead of having to burn a hole into the basketball basically to even have it show anything. So very good. I would say the Wilson Evolution is maybe not perfect for it, like the ones Laser Dave was using, but pretty good. I thought this turned out great. Again, that was 50% power, 1,000 DPI at 100% speed, and it was about a 3-minute process to run here. So
awesome.
Again,
it looks like
one more look.
We might even have Laser Dave might be able to actually jump in and join us too to answer some of these. He must have been watching in horror, watching us answer some of these sciencey questions about the laser.
Hey, no. Oh, yeah. That's so funny. No, but DPI. It was yeah, right, exactly. Cool. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I got kind of lost there for a minute. No, but yeah, the basketballs. Sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
Yeah, again, basketballs. Definitely. You know, when you're just starting out, a little tricky. We bought 2 of them. One, I should show you. I would show you the other one, but I don't want to embarrass myself. I was just trying all. I mean, it's just a basketball that is. You know, I'm gonna get it anyway because I think it's funny.
Yeah. Get that steak.
Just like, you know, no, this isn't even the same one. This was just us running a bunch of tests over and over, just to kind of see.
That.
Yeah. Definitely, I would think compromise the integrity of the ball a little bit. I don't think we're going to be hooping with this very much. But still, it was a lot of fun just to kind of see what we could do, get the settings right. I believe, I'm not going to mention anything by name, one of the customers that does it has also, again, built a fixture so that it can be set in there every time. And I believe Dave did it too in his video. So it's very easily consistent, whereas I'm using a camera cover to place the ball on right now, which is probably why you saw the basketball just kind of shake just a little at the start, which always, a little concerning, because if it would have fallen off, that would have been the first time, and that would have been pretty embarrassing, but it worked out this time. So
I think it looked great, man. But listen, we are fortunate enough. I'm going to add Laser Dave here into the stream.
Please do.
If you guys have seen any of the fantastic videos that we've been showing, we cannot say enough nice things about Dave. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Great, Dave. Thanks for being here.
Stuff. Yeah.
Oh, my pleasure. I've been watching you guys and just cheering you on here. So I figured I'd jump on and say hello to everyone and help answer questions. Anything I can do.
You're the
Wonderful.
man. Listen, I'd love to know about sort of your, as long as we've got you, your thought process when it comes to undertaking any of these applications. Because the football, the basketball, I mean, as Gabe and I have sort of been alluding to, they're all kind of weird shapes. They're a weird challenge as opposed to, say, like a flat object. So is there any sort of, workflow or mindset that you're going into a job like that with to maybe, for any odd shaped item, let's say, whether it's a sporting item or not?
Definitely something you want to keep in mind when you're running these types of materials. And the main thing is focus. Fortunately, a lot of these materials like leather, the logos aren't too detailed, and the detail's not too much there, and it can easily handle that. And so the main thing that I find is that you want to kind of adjust your focus, kind of find the high point, find the low point, find that average spot. Both the basketball and football that I did, I ran on the Speedy 50 with a standard 2-inch lens, believe it or not.
Wow.
And I didn't have any special lens with it. I just found that sweet spot. Again, we're not doing photographic quality, so we're able to kind of ridge around that graphic with no problem, and it worked well. The other benefit, of course, you need to be able to support, of course, the Z-axis. The Speedy 50, you can take the table out. And so it may only have, 4 or 5 inches of normal Z-axis travel, but I just pop the table out. I built a little fixture that it sits into down below that. And now we're able to get, 10, 12 inches of Z movement or products into a very small machine. And I was able to process those in like 2.5 minutes. Most of them I'm running at like 250 DPI, 333 DPI, because leather is very forgiving. And so they're fast too. That was a nice feature for this process when doing those types of applications.
Yeah, I wanted to just pull this back up again. This is a shot of that football that you did. I think the football was the one that I heard the most about from customers because they saw Gabe's video and they said, I really want to be able to do that. What would I need to be able to do that application? And I noticed, if I'm not mistaken, did you do the football in a rotary, or was this also just flat set on a fixture?
Flat set on a fixture. Literally, it was just sitting into the machine. I focused that found the high point, found the low point of where the fixture would be, averaged my focus, ran a few parameter tests. You'll notice like the Trotec logo up at the top there. The reason I do that is because I don't know what my setting is and I don't want to waste the ball. So I will run, say, something as simple as just a website, kind of tell me two things. How is the material going to perform? What is it going to look like? What is my settings going to look like? And if it messes up, it's just a website logo or you hit it again. So it kind of gives me the ability to kind of test it without actually having to possibly destroy that product. So little trick of the trade, if you can, you're not really messing it up, but you're also getting a sense of how that material is going to react.
Totally.
Yeah, a much nicer way of testing the product than just me marking all these miscellaneous things on a basketball over and over again.
I was glad you showed that basketball though, because I think it speaks to what we were talking about before, where it's like, don't be afraid to do some testing. I mean, if you burn through one basketball, all three of us have done it. We've all ruined stuff. We've all broken stuff. I mean, broken maybe is a strong word, but you know what I mean? That like, I remember a few years ago during the COVID times, I was trying to do floor decals and trying to engrave on Trolle's thins and just putting way too much heat in it. And it was bubbling up and warping and I couldn't figure it out. And I believe it might've been either Dave or Mike who helped me and just go like, you're just engraving it too much. Like, what are you doing? I did. So one last question before we get into the baseball bat, because I think it is a really cool one to end off on. I wanted to pull up this question here from the chat for you, Dave, from Dragonfly, who talks about having a PPI setting and an image density setting. And would we be able to kind of briefly explain, what the difference between the one and the other might be?
Yeah, I mean, these are terms from other brands of lasers. They basically mean the same things on all different brands. They all kind of have that. And, I can tell you basically what brand of laser you have based on that question you have there. It's a universal laser. Yeah, PPI is pulses per inch. So that's how many laser pulses it travels in 1 inch, how many times it fires that laser, primarily used for cutting. Typically, that's pulses per inch. It's also the same as frequency. Frequency is how many times that laser fires per inch. And image density is just another term for DPI, how many lines per inch that laser goes by. So when we're running 333 DPI and you're running image density 3, it's the same thing. It's just, they've spun it into a different term to basically, suit their machine. That's really the only difference.
No, it makes sense. So, Gabe, you have to tell us about this. I mean, it could just be that it's a 400, but that doesn't look like a regulation size bat.
No, it's a little smaller. We definitely bought a couple smaller ones just because it was a little more practical to carry around. To be clear, 400 can fit a standard length baseball bat into it. I want to make that perfectly clear, but just for this time, we had smaller ones. The wood is going to be about the same, whatever you're doing. At least in terms of engraving quality, you'll be able to, that's not necessarily right. You'll be able to do it, like get good engraving results on regular wood for like Major League Baseball bats or with this, just depending on your settings and how you're going to do that. And I got pretty good results on this test run too. But yeah, it is a little smaller. It's more of a child's wood bat. So if you have a kid playing in a wooden bat league, let me know. I can send it your way.
Do you want to take us through the Ruby setup?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Let me share this here real quick. So this is another one I made, the Trotec Slugger baseball brand.
Nice.
Again, I think I diverted right off the regular wood setting and made a baseball bat setting. just hitting it at 80 power and 100 speed with 500 DPI. That seemed to do the trick the first time I did this, so no reason why it shouldn't again. I'll cue this up and we can just get it started.
I think one thing that you mentioned earlier too, and kind of, I'm glad you mentioned that a full-size bat can fit in here, because to pivot off of that, you mentioned earlier about how this being a flex machine, you could also do like a metal bat, potentially. You could throw a metal bat in there and do it in the same way.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting one, because traditionally, obviously I was joking about the kids playing in wooden bat leagues. It's not really common. Most of them are using aluminum bats. I've never, at least in my experience, I don't think they engraved. That would be one I think would compromise the bat if you engraved into it. Certainly something you could do, and it would probably be, like you said, commemorative. Although maybe David, you have more experience. You've seen something more like that.
I've done it before, actually. Typically, the aluminum bats you can do with the CO2. Most of the time, they're painted, so there's portions of paint on it, and all you're doing is just etching the paint away. So it works exceptionally well on the painted ones. Now, just the raw aluminum ones, you are right. You would need a fiber laser, but it etches so lightly, it's not going to change the stability of that bat at all. It's actually quite popular. You get a kind of a bright white effect with a fiber laser onto it. So if it's painted, you can easily do it with a CO2 laser. Doesn't affect the integrity at all. It's kind of like a tumbler, if you will. So that works very well. So good application. And if it's, again, raw aluminum, then you would need the fiber laser. But most of them have some type of paint or decor on them, and that can be engraved with the CO2.
Yeah, kind of like an anodizing, like I said, like a Yeti or a tumbler of some.
You got it.
Yeah, so here's the results of the wooden one I did. A little small. I wanted to make sure I got it. I didn't try to go too round around it with a 2.5-inch lens, but so you could certainly go a little bit bigger. But I thought this was, it's a miniature bat with a smaller logo. So I thought that was appropriate enough. And David, thank you for touching on that. I did not even think about my novice level laser brain did not think about the fact that just hitting metal with the CO2 and removing the paint off like a tumbler, that didn't even cross my mind. It just went straight to, metal, we're going to use a fiber laser, and maybe we wouldn't want to do it. Now, you still obviously can do it. But that CO2 thing, that sounds awesome.
Yeah. Another thing I've done on baseball bats is on the wooden bats, using the longer rotary on the 400. I've taken the checkering patterns that you would see grip patterns, like on a gun stock or something like that. And then I've actually engraved 360 degrees around the actual handle to put a engraved pattern into the actual handle grip. So you got that grip pattern built into the wood itself, so no leather or anything needs to be put there. That was a fun little project I did in the past. But again, rotary 3D engraving or relief mode engraving is required, and a 360 degree engraving around that wooden handle.
Right. Definitely sounds like a more advanced but very cool application.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
Question, David. This was one I wanted to try, but I didn't want to try it on my own. Baseball glove, is that something that would work? It's I'm not mistaken, leather. Does that come out pretty well?
Yeah, it's just leather. The main thing with leather is it doesn't handle focal deviation very well at all. It can't. If you deviate too much, it doesn't handle it as well. You have to kind of overpower it, like we've seen on the basketballs and stuff, and you can get a little char on it. You have to kind of rinse it off. But on a leather baseball glove, if you can, typically you want to find a flat spot, because normally you're just going to throw a logo or a name or some type of personalization on it. Just try to get the area that you want to engrave as flat as possible, and shoot it. You'll have no problem at all. It should be an ideal application.
It seems. Sorry, go ahead, Don.
So, no, forgive me. I'm sorry for pivoting off of that. One thing you just reminded me, we have a fantastic customer that we did a video with several years ago, but I wanted to take the opportunity here just to showcase them. Kind of similar to a baseball glove in a way, in terms of items that are, associated with sporting and done maybe in possibly in straight leather. This is Dormy Workshop from the east coast of Canada, and they make custom golf head covers.
And cool. Awesome.
All done using our laser, and they do fantastic work. They can do custom work. I would highly encourage anybody who's interested in getting something like this, particularly as a gift for the golfer in your life. It is really, really cool. But this is all done using our laser in a very similar way to what you guys are talking about.
So what's actually engraved there? Like, it looks like the bottom, right? Looks
like they're cutting the fabric out, probably, right?
Yeah. Oh,
It's
okay.
both. Exactly. Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
engraved here at the base, but then also the fabric is cut out. But there are more engraved ones. I can see if I could find some. But all of the fabric is cut using the laser, and then also I know in some cases with some of the more classic style of covers, you can look at either having them, the number glued on, or you can have it, I believe, engraved right on the back there if you so choose. You kind of get one or the other.
That's awesome. I might have to look at that site later for my own golf collection.
I should say, as we're getting near the top of the hour here, we'd be remiss too, and it's one I wanted to ask you about, Dave. Obviously, in the sporting goods area, trophies is huge. So obviously, trophies is something you could do either using like a Trolay style, metallic, or a real metal engraving. But the one I get asked about a lot, and I've never been quite sure how to answer about, is metals. Do you have any experience in doing like metals, like gold, silver, platinum, or like just aluminum metals for sporting events at all?
Like real, like
Medallion?
the medals that go around the neck.
Yeah, like exactly,
yeah.
like the ones you'd win for a placing at a.
So like Olympic medal type stuff, like round.
Maybe not quite that nice,
no,
but yeah, that
level,
idea.
but yes. Definitely something that is doable. I mean, just like any metal, it does require the fiber laser if you want to mark into that metal, unless it is like you say with the baseball bat where it's been painted first or stuff like that. So metal can be tricky, as you know. The depth in the metal, if you want a little bit of depth, we would need the galvo fiber lasers versus the CO2. Yes. The other thing we have done with like coins and metals and stuff is using the three-dimensional features with a galvo system. You can actually do three-dimensional depth marks into them. Especially with the AI image generation, to where it creates these three-dimensional effects. You'll see a lot of YouTube type videos, and I've played around with it. I've been wanting to get a galvo fiber laser in my lab lately to do some more testing with the 3D aspect. But I think it would look really cool with a sports theme and a metal, and actually creating a three-dimensional effect, even if it's just used to create a mold, for example, where it may take hours and hours and hours to engrave with the depth. But I think that would be cool for maybe like a high-level metal in the sports world.
Definitely, yeah. This is, Olympic Committee. You know where to find Dave.
There you go. Call me.
Last video I wanted to share, and it's just another one I wanted to pass by really quickly, but I do think it kind of touches on something ancillary to this particular market. It is jerseys. I think you can do incredible detail in terms of the levels of, multi-level twill. And I think we get a chance to show it here in this video. I'll skip through a little bit, but I totally encourage you guys to go check this out on our YouTube channel. You can see that Justin actually layers multiple layers of twill and then is able to tune the laser to cut through only certain layers at certain areas, so that when he pulls out his finished design, it's already kind of pre-assembled and he can heat press it straight away. So jerseys, another fantastic area for anyone producing these sorts of things at scale, but also, for schools, I always think, right? If you're making jerseys for your student athletes, or you're having to remake jerseys every few years because they're getting, beat up doing what jerseys do, this is a fantastic application, I think.
Well, 3-layer too. That's outstanding. Yeah, applique with multiple layer twill has been an outstanding application for decades on the laser. I agree, Don. That is it's a phenomenal application in this marketplace.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And one I think sometimes people forget about, but again, I'd want you guys to not miss out. Again, I think the sporting industry is one of these areas very much like, memorials and weddings. There are a few industries that I think we've only just begun to see the impact that lasers could have in those markets. And I really would encourage you, if you've got a laser business already, definitely dig in and find your local providers, because there is some great opportunity out there, I really believe.
I think why limit yourself, right? Like I was saying earlier, I went to a bowling shop to get a bowling ball and shoes, and the guy not only had a laser to offer engravings of that, but also just to offer, in addition to that, he thought I might as well offer engraving services for other things like trophies and stuff. So you see how a bowling shop that originally one idea became multiple, and I'm sure that's pretty common these days. But yeah, just don't limit yourself. Why would you do that?
Definitely. You have a machine with all the flexibility that a laser offers you built in. I hope you'll take advantage of it and try all different markets and all different opportunities. Just getting up to the top of the hour here, guys, so I will start to wrap things up. I want to say again a huge thank you to Johnny and to Joe and to everybody who joined us from the chat, and Dave, who originally started in the chat and made the leap. Yeah. We appreciate you coming on, man, and for all the fantastic videos and images we were able to show. Again, I hate to do this at the end because I always feel like I'm putting you guys on the spot, but any sort of final thoughts about what we've shown? Gabe, anything you want to kind of touch back on or encourage people?
Yeah, also glad that you joined us, Dave. Definitely, as I said a couple times, very, very helpful this week. I had no idea that you were even working on basketballs and footballs until you sent that email a couple days ago. So just to be able to use that, and then when I was kind of struggling in here for a minute, I was like, you know what? Let's see what Dave did. I think it'll be a good help. And I saw, we talked about power settings, stuff like that. It was a great resource. And then I thought the run I did on this basketball was probably the best one I got in the last 2 days. It was wonderful. So yeah, very, very big appreciation here. But yeah, really only final thought is, this is a lot of fun. I already said, don't limit yourself. If you have a trophy shop or something else and you feel like you want to expand into other things, not even just the things that I did, like baseball bats and pickleball paddles, but jerseys and footballs and hockey pucks and just so many different things. Unfortunately, too many things to cover in one webinar, but don't limit yourself. Have fun.
Yeah, for sure. And Corey, our producer in the back, and thank you to her. She also mentions that you can always come back to this link and watch the recording after the stream ends. So if you'd like to come back around and see some of those settings that Gabe was using, definitely do that. If you'd like to emulate some of his artwork, highly encourage. Definitely do that. How about yourself, Dave? Again, not to meant to put you on the spot, but in terms of anything you'd suggest for people excited about getting into the engraving world or the sports engraving world in general?
Yeah, it is a great market. I mean, it's one of those things that, as Gabe said, there's so much diversity. I mean, from the hockey pucks to the footballs to the jerseys to the baseball bats. It's one of those things that excites people. It gets people going. It's awards, it's trophies, but it's also the physical products. It's teams that they want their logos on the basketball. So it really kind of opens up the vast possibilities of laser processing and what you can do with it in my opinion, a lot of cases that you don't even realize that's possible. Who would think that you could, right, personalize basketballs and baseballs and grip patterns and, hockey pucks, but realistically it's one of those applications that has kind of been in the foreshadows of laser technology forever. We really not brought to light too much, and that's our fault. And so I'm happy that you two have kind of brought this up. I know Daryl's been getting a lot of companies and stuff that's been interested in it lately as well. So now seems to be the time. So any questions, let us know on the chats or in the comments section. I do monitor them a lot myself as well. So any of those technical questions that you want to know, just let us know, and we're going to help you reach out for, who knows what type of application in the future.
100%. And I'd be remiss too if I didn't say, to follow up on what you were saying too, if you have an application that you're curious to try, but you don't currently have a Trotec Laser, reach out. I mean, we've got showrooms all across the US and across Canada. We'd love to have you in for a demo. I know our Trotec team is really always happy to try new things, to test things out. And, if you want to make a basketball like Gabe showed there with a bunch of different, trial and error things, a demo is one of the best places to do that, right? You're going to be talking with somebody like Gabe, like Dave, who really know their stuff. And, to be perfectly frank, you're going to be putting our laser on the line as opposed to yours. Let's figure out those settings for you. And then when you get your laser in-house, you can just plug it in and start running right away. We want you to start making money immediately. So a huge thank you to everybody who joined us in the chat and from all across. If you're watching this later on YouTube, of course, again, a big thank you to you. Thank you to Lorenzo for jumping in from Stouffville. It's always good to see you. I think I will say on behalf of Dave and Gabe and myself, we're always grateful to see you guys. We will have our next stream on Thursday, April 17th. So make sure you don't miss it. It's going to be another good one. You'll see some publicity and stuff going out for that very shortly. You can follow the three of us on LinkedIn, or you can see us on our social media planets. Wow, it's definitely the end. It's always great to see you guys. We hope you had a great time, and we will see you next time. Take care, everybody.